and welcome back to part 6 of Spongebob Battle Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Today we're going to the Murmur Lair, which is found in Shady Shoals' rest home.
Wow! Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy! My heroes! Hit me with a water ball! Hit me, hit me, hit me!
We don't do that stuff anymore, kid. We're retired.
Is that the TV repairman?
No, it's that excited sponge kid again.
Oh, are you sure he can't fix the TV?
Mermaid Man, 'twould be my greatest honor to fix your television.
Goody!
Hey, sponge kid, you really want to help out?
Oh boy, would I!
Okay then, but lighten up a bit on the enthusiasm, huh? You're making my bowels act up. We've got a little problem with some robots down in the Murmur Lair. Are you sure you're up to this task?
Absolutely, Barnacle Boy!
Well, go over to the couch to access the Murmur Lair. We'll meet you down there.
Is it pudding night yet?
This literally tiny rest home does have a sock within it if you bash the TV, which they hint at with Mermaid Man talking about repairing the TV. If you actually try and repair it, you'll get a sock for your trouble. See? It's a nice way of subtly hinting. Also, whacking the TV will present different images in both the original and Rehydrated. The original references artwork, this references the show more often than not.
Boy, Patrick will be glad to have this back.
I like how they decide to reference that one episode where King Neptune has a son and just completely pretend that Mindy doesn't exist. Which I think is a shame, because Mindy was actually an alright character, even if she was only tied to the film. But it's probably why they don't acknowledge her, because she's only tied to the film. But either way, going down there will get you access to the Murmur Lair, which is a level infamous for one particular challenge that we'll get to, but I genuinely don't think it's that bad anymore. When I was a kid I hated it, but now I'm older, I never really had much trouble with it. And I think they've actually made it easier in this. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
Barnacle Boy.
You shouldn't sneak up on Mermaid Man like that. His heart's not so good. Come to think of it, nothing on him is that good anymore.
Sorry, Mermaid Man. It's just that I'm always so excited to see you two. Standing in your awesome presence gives me the chills of justice. See? I've got goosebumps on my goosebumps on my goosebumps on my goosebumps on my...
All right, kid. Knock it off. Just tell us what you want.
Well, I really want a new pair of sunglasses. Patrick sat on my old ones.
That's not what I meant.
Actually, it's a good thing you showed up, young sponge of goodness.
It is?
It is?
Yes, a bunch of evil robots have taken over the Murmur Lair security system. It's up to you to shut it down and stop them!
Well, why him? We're perfectly capable superheroes.
Because it's Thursday and we have a whole bunch of doctor's appointments.
Ah, fish sticks. I forgot.
Go talk to the Murmur Lair computer in the next room. She'll tell you what to do.
I accept this awesome responsibility, Mermaid Man. You won't be disappointed. Shamed, maybe, but not disappointed.
To the doctor's office! Away!
Real talk, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy are probably my favourite characters in classic SpongeBob. They're such funny characters and so easy to enjoy. But we're introduced to the disco floors, and this is like the only level they show up in, which surprised me looking back on it, because when you look at the movie game uses them all the damn time, and it makes you think that they use them a lot in this, but this is literally like the only level that uses them. Oh, god damn it. There's no real reason to take down this Duplicatotron other than the fact that you get a little extra shiny for it. Like, there's no sock tied to it, there's no spatula. They just drop a purple shiny in front of you for your trouble, and that's it, move on your way. And then you can go back up here and carry on business as usual, but I guess it makes it a little safer. Oh, hit a bump there. I was trying to destroy these Thunder Tikis before I got there. There's also power generators making these electrical currents. You've already seen something like that in Rock Bottom, but now you get them properly here. And our next new enemy. These guys have been nerfed hard from the original. In the original, these robot dogs would literally detonate if you were like a feet within them. And they would making the main guy here really annoying to try and approach as anyone other than SpongeBob. Because with SpongeBob, you at least had the bubble bowl. But now you can just back them away. You can just bat them around as you approach. You can be really aggressive on him. And you still kind of could in the original, but it was far harder to do because of how quickly they detonated on you. You can make that jump and completely skip the rest of this section, but I'm going to do this legit and go over here, especially because I want to stock anyway. Oh, there goes that bomb bot. Thankfully it's not the wrong rock bottom variant, or as it would have just gone off a cliff by now, assuming it hasn't already. I mean, I can't see it behind us. I assume it's just self-destructed and didn't go off a cliff. Didn't just go into the depths of the caves. So I know I'm not talking much. I'm still trying to adjust to playing live. But down here is a sock. Once again, straight drop, so you don't need to worry about it. And then we need to shake this thing back, which is a little time consuming. Oh, actually, I've just remembered what's coming up. There's something, it's a tiny, tiny criticism. Really doesn't matter to anything, but it bugs me. Over here, the invisible boatmobile, their vehicle, is actually on this stand, like over here. And if you hit the button, it makes it visible for a second. Because you ring the engine. In the original, it's always physically there. In Rehydrated, it's not. When it's invisible, it's deloaded. So you just fall through it, and it's not actually there. And I think that's, like... It's the stupidest tiny criticism, but it was an attention to detail the original had that I liked. The fact that this invisible vehicle was, you know, invisible, not non-existent. You could stand on it, you could jump in the driver's seat, you could move around it. It was just invisible, and then now you can't, and it's just and you just have to deal with that. It just feels weird.
The wrinkly superheroes, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. Squidward, am I happy to see you? And not just the kind of happy you feel in the front of your knees, but the kind of happy you feel in the back of your elbow. Oh, you'll never believe what's been happening.
Yeah, I've already been briefed by the geriatric duo. Those two old coots sent me in to get updated with the Mermalair computer. But since you're here now, I'll let you do it. It's right over there. Oh, look at this place. I mean, please. Would it kill them to lay down a few throw rugs? And all this wasted space? How did those two old fogies make all this?
Oh, that's easy. In episode 27, the Mermalair is invaded by the digging monsters of Bermuda, and then...
Never mind.
But now we're in the central hub, per se, of the Mermalair. The Mermalair is an odd level. There isn't any, like, real big areas of it. It's just a lot, and I mean a lot, of smaller, kind of disconnected areas tied around each other, with one of them going, with like the third and fourth area circling around back to this second area. Like, you got this bit here, which has a challenge off to the side, and a different challenge right in front of us, and something around the side. Like, it's still got the openness of it. It just feels a lot weird, like a lot looser, a lot more just thrown around. And it makes me curious as to what the development process for this level was. Like, I can imagine with the Mermalair being so untouched in the show, it was kind of open season for Heavy Iron originally to make it how they wanted. But it still feels kind of... I don't know, I almost want them to, if they ever did a direct sequel, return to the Mermalair and have it be more in the caves and not the metal platforms.
Throw the tooth. You might want to be quick about it. I tend to explode.
The fruits don't actually explode. This is just telling you that if you spend too long trying to do each challenge, the fruit will break in your hand. You got a disco platform, a moving platform, and then obstacles getting shot at you. The disco platform here moves a lot quicker than it did in the original. Not that it particularly matters too much. It's easy enough to keep on top of it, but it can be a little bit more challenging actually because it's quicker, because the disco floor behind you will keep on catching up. No, it's about to break anyway. This they have straight up made easier. In the original, the gap was bigger between the platforms, whilst now it's really not, so you can kind of just push them back a little bit and then just run from one to the next, making this challenge a complete joke. In the original, you had to actually kind of throw it partially along, get it, throw it partially along, and then just barely make it to the end, making that challenge annoying. This one was never hard. It always kind of shoots down the middle, or like if it goes down the sides, it's way too late, so you can just go down one side, keep pushing, and you'll get there just fine. And that's enough to please Mermaid Man so you can get your spatula. And there's another challenge over here that we can get as Patrick, which is like one of the hardest and most annoying ones to get, up until you realise how easy the solution is. And that almost definitely you've made it harder for yourself unknowingly. Which I just can't help but find funny. Like, now I know about it, like as the years gone, when I found out about it, I was like, bloody hell. But the way this challenge works, as Patrick's landed in the wrong area, is that there's these generators, there's 8 generators in a circle, and anytime you hit one, it not only flips that one around, it flips the 2 next to it around. But then if you hit the next one, it might flip the ones next to it back off. So you have to find a combination to make it so every single one of them is on without any of them being off. And you'll be spending a long while trying to back and forth it, try and get things to work the way you want them to, get them in places, and it will take forever, and you might just barely, if you're lucky, get it to work. Until you realise, if you just hit every single button here once, it will do it. Just watch. You see how it turns the ones around the outside? You want all of them facing inwards. And you might notice that as we're going round through them, we're leaving one on behind us each time. Because of the way we're flipping them round. Leaving only these 3 left on the last stretch. All of them are on. That's it. Genuinely, that's it. That's the entire challenge. The amount of people I know who've never done that challenge because they spent hours because they didn't think to do something so painfully simple as that is insane.
Have a golden spatula.
But anyway, let's get our golden spatula and get out of here. Make sure to whack that button before you go, because you're going to need it for later. There's 4 special buttons around the level you need to hit. That's just the first one. There's 2 in this section, 1 in the 3rd zone and 1 in the 4th zone. And whilst you're hopping down here, may as well nab the sock, because it saves time later on. There's another spot later on where you can get it. You can actually see it above us right now, where that pair of underpants is, but still. And you kind of need the bubble bowl to get through here anyway. Like in the original, you can get out of bounds in Bikini Bottom to access the Act 2 and Act 3 levels sooner than you're supposed to. Well, mostly just Mermalair and Spongebob's Dream, because both of them don't have spatula requirements. But if you try and do this one, you'll very quickly hit a wall, so there's not much you can do until you go back and get the bubble bowl. Spongebob's Dream, on the other hand, you can do pretty much the entire of that level. In fact, you can. I think you can actually do the entirety of that level as long as you have the shinies, without the slightest threat. And so you can jump to Spongebob's Dream and pick up a lot of spatulas super quick and wrap up that area and get it out of the way to access the levels you do want to access and kind of leave the ones you want to leave till later on. The original is a masterpiece for speedrunning. And I don't have to tell you that. If you've done any research or looked into the game at all, you've almost definitely stumbled upon how this Rehydrated pretty much only exists because of the speedrunning community and their constant undying efforts to keep this game present in people's minds. Something that I'm eternally grateful for and I love watching in action. Search up Shift on YouTube and either watch the documentary or just watch some of his speedruns, whether it be any percent or 100%. And if you like it, start watching some of the other people around the community. There's so many different little things you can do with the original that really bring it to life in ways you would never have seen. And I can almost guarantee there's going to be new stuff in this. Well, there already kind of is. I've already seen the glitch where if you're playing on PC and have both a keyboard plugged in and a controller, if you make it so you press the accept button at the same time, it will override things it's not supposed to. So you can get taxis to areas you're not supposed to unlock because you can just override it. So you can go straight from the beginning of the game to Chum Bucket.
Got it. When you have pressed them all, you should return here to press the master shutdown button.
And the Mermalair computer is one that actually gives you the main objective, saying you need to hit all 4 buttons so you can get the master override button.
Listening to me?
Listening. Got it.
And we've already hit 1 because it's the one with Patrick, but the rest you need the bubble bowl for. There's button 2. And now we need to go to the 3rd section to hit the 3rd one, and then the 4th section to hit the 4th one. But then this 3rd section is the only section of the original game that I feel like was just kind of thrown in last minute. It's not that it's poorly programmed, it just kind of feels like you're just there. You just zigzag up this little path with the same obstacle repeated 6 times, and then you get to the top, get a spatula, hit a button, get a sock, and you just carry on. Like, it just kind of feels like they wanted one more spatula place in this level, and they were like, well, shit, what do we do? We've already got everything else. We've got a mini-boss in here. We've got that first section to introduce you to the level. What are we going to do? I don't know, why not just make a little section that does something with the disco floors? Because otherwise, the obstacle will be pretty worthless, which, to be fair, it is. Like I said, if it wasn't for the movie game making the disco floors a lot more prominent, they would be worthless. And even then, the movie game doesn't even have the disco floors that much either. It's very much like you get the most of it in one level, and then there's not much beyond that. But it does so much more with it in that one level. Because you have Patrick the Disco Star, that mission, which kind of proves my point, where it's entirely a disco floor. It's actually relatively tough, which is something that surprises a lot of people. If you play this game, love it, and then go out of your way to get the movie game, since it's the closest thing we ever got to a sequel, it might surprise you how much tougher the movie game is as a whole. It's shorter, and it's definitely a budget title, because there's only 68 challenges in the game, whilst this has 100. And it's entirely linear, whilst this is very more open-ended and non-linear. But it still does what it needs to do, and does it well. It's just fucking tough. Like, Planktopolis, the last level of the game, is a perfect example of what I mean. And I kind of, like, there's a small part of me that kind of wishes that Planktopolis wasn't in the movie game. And the reasoning for saying this is not because I have any issue with it, it's because I think it would make an excellent final level in a direct sequel to Battle for Bikini Bottom. Like, if they did a direct Battle for Bikini Bottom 2, they could have something like, oh, the robots have, like, got out of town and made their own robot database far away from the chum bucket. So your objective is to get enough golden spatulas to, like, power something that will take you away from Bikini Bottom. Like, say you have to get... I'll be a little bit more generous because of my reasoning I'll get to. Out of the 100 new spatulas, you need 65 to get access to the final stretch instead of 75 in this. But then when you get there, you go to the headquarters, do it, but then when you come back, Plankton's taken over the whole of Bikini Bottom because everyone's left. Kind of thing. Like, he's turned it into his wasteland, sort of like how they handled it in the movie game, and then you'd go into Planktopolis. Because a linear level being the very last level of the game, and as tough as it is, and expecting as much as it expects from you, if you had like a very non-linear, open-ended SpongeBob game like this one that end with that, it would have been fucking perfect. Ow. Like, that's always kind of been something, like, because I'm concerned, because I say that I have faith in Purple Lamp if they did a direct sequel, but at the same time I'm also curious about what they will handle, because this was kind of a rush title and there's a few things that didn't feel right. So, like, I trust them on a casual level, but it's like, if they actually had to make new levels, would it still be good? So I'm unsure, but if they had like Planktopolis as its final natural level or something like that, it'd be, or something at the same difficulty and intensity and atmosphere of it, mwah, that would be magnificent as a final level, because then it would still be upping the ante, sort of thing. But anyway, I'm going to leave that subject for now, because we're in the most infamous golden spatula in the entire original game, the rolling ballroom. The rolling ballroom is difficult if you're not used to the mechanics of this game, but you will get a good idea of it. It's just stressful. I think that's the only way to put it. It's just very good at making you worry. You hit a switch, it drops a big ball, and you have to get it through this gargantuan obstacle course in one piece, manually altering things in your favour as it goes around to get everything the way you want it. The physics of the ball, however, are a lot to be desired in both versions, but they have problems in different ways, which is why I say I kind of find this easier compared to the original. I'm going to see if I can try and get this purple shiny. Oh, you used to be able to grab the edge of that so you can get up and get the purple shiny. I'll have to get it when I go around then, never mind. But when you hit this, it drops the iron ball and it'll start working on its course, and you have to alter and move everything to get it where it needs to be. But don't rush, because these pieces will only stay in place for a short amount of time. So that will move across, but then it will stop and go elsewhere. So you're going to see me wait, and then when it's crossed it entirely, then hit this to lower it, because it will raise itself. Ooh, actually, that was nearly too late. And it will raise itself by itself to send it up. Same in the next one, you're going to stand on here and watch the ball, because if you just whack the button now, the thing will reset. Also, this is the reason that GameSpot gave this game a 2 out of 10. Because the fucking idiot that played this game got stuck here. He said that the bubble bowl carries you too forward and takes you off the switch. And it's like, well, maybe only tap the circle button instead of holding it. And oh, look at the fact I managed to do it twice without going off the edge. Huh, funny that. The next one's the only one you can rush to, because you just got to stay on it until it crosses the platform. But it puts the pressure on for the very next bit, because as soon as it passes, you need to book it, because that hammer is going to whack it off otherwise. And then the thing that always screws people over, the seesaw section. And on the Rehydrated, they've made it so the amount it tips is far more subtle than it used to be. So despite the fact that I did hard turns, it was never going to hit that outer edge. Like, it just kind of went around the edge. But when it's in here, all you need to do is hit this, and you've won. That's the entire challenge done. I'm surprised I did that in one go, to be honest, but let's go. I was expecting to fail it once on camera, but the fact that I got it in one go, I am happy about that. Let's go. Which brings us to 43. We've already hit the button here, so we just need to go back to the main computer and turn it in. Also, I like this conversation with Mr. Krabs. It's like, give me the spatula and I'll give you extra 10 seconds of break time. SpongeBob says, no, I can't. And he says, fine, but I'm docking you of 30 seconds instead.
20-second break! Do I dare? No, I'm sorry, Mr. Krabs.
He thought about it.
As that sounds, I can't give this to you. I need every golden spatula I can get.
I understand, boy. I'll just dock 30 seconds from your break time instead.
Whoa! That means I have a negative 20-second break.
If the movie game ever got the same treatment as Battle for Bikini Bottom, I'd probably let's play that too, going back on the conversation before the ballroom. But I don't know if it'd be 100% because I've mentioned it before, but full disclosure, I've never bothered. I've never had the need to 100% it, and I know you get absolutely nothing for 100%ing it, unlike this game where you at least get a little cutscene at the end to sort of congratulate you on your reward, which isn't much. Like, it's still not really anything special, but it's at least something, whilst in the movie game you get literally nothing for your trouble. And the challenges as a whole are a lot harder, so getting all 68 of the challenges done, I've just never had the motivation to do it. Maybe I will. Actually, I might make that a point of doing, like, once I finish this recording, like, once I've done all of this today, recorded it all for the game, start playing it, but I also want to, like, I've got a few other things, like, outside of recording that I haven't played much of that I want to play more soon. But we got a cutscene in the boss fight, so I'm going to shut up again.
Hooray for justice in all its multi-splendor glory!
Yeah, well, Justice Boy, you also cut the power to the Mermalair's VCS. That's Villain Containment System.
Is that bad?
Does Mermaid Man smell like sour milk?
Yes! Yes, I do!
Oh no. It looks like one of the villains is broken free.
What's that? An evildoer on the loose?
Who is it?
Man Ray? The atomic flounder? The dirty bubble?
No, worse than that. He's your archenemy. Prawn.
Run!
Did someone call? Oh, I thought maybe I was looking at superheroes. But now I see it's just a couple of pieces of gnarled driftwood.
Prawn! I'll never forgive you, you madman!
What did Prawn do?
The worst thing you can imagine. He put all of Mermaid Man's white clothes in the washer with a red sock.
Everything I own turned pink! Pink!
How horrible!
Personally, I thought pink made you very pretty.
Really?
Sure, pretty stupid. Yikes. What is that yellow thing? Some kind of mold?
I'm not mold, I'm a sponge. There's a cellular difference. A cellular difference!
Yeah, thanks for the lesson, Dr. Science. See you later, Pinky.
By the 7 seas, Prawn, I shall not rest until you are captured! But first, I shall have to change from my secret identity into Mermaid Man!
You don't have a secret identity, you old coot. Maybe you better take care of Prawn while I take care of this.
I shall avenge you, Mermaid Man.
Prawn's not a difficult fight, really, at all. The only thing to be wary of is that SpongeBob's knockback in the Rehydrated is kind of jank at places. So if you do get hit by anything, there's a chance it will fling you way too far off the stage for you to get back on, which happened on my first playthrough. But the idea of this obstacle course is that you're just moving one direction, and when it catches up to you, because it always will, move to the other. And then eventually that shield in the middle will drop, and you will get an opportunity to attack through the disco floor. Something that I miss in the original, these lanes that you have to launch them down, they used the yellow. They didn't go red, they used the yellow to have like a yellow line pumping up of it to make it more eye-catching. Like they had like a string of like a yellow bar, sort of like how these ones in the middle now are pumping out and like the yellow flashes. There was none of the red, it was just the yellow flashing going up, but going towards him. if you want to try and keep ahead of the attack the entire time, you need to kind of step onto the disco floor a little bit, but it's so fast, it's barely worth it. Like, you need to be timing your jumps and kind of pushing around it, and then you can really be on his case. The only reason you might be tempted to do it otherwise is just because of the hammers that are spawning around the place. There we are, and that's 2. He's only got 1 more because it's a mini boss, not a full-on boss. And it's just a small aesthetical detail that I kind of miss from the original. Just how like the disco floors really came alive in this boss fight. Whilst in this it feels a lot more simplistic. Like, it does what it needs to, but it doesn't quite have the almost chaos of it that it had. And also this third attack there, you just saw it lasts a pretty damn long time. But like, you'd have like a yellow line going up it, and there's just nothing there now. But once you get the third hit, for some reason the freezer's turned back on and Prawn is just done with. And you can get your last spatula, and we're done with the Murmur-Lair. The Murmur-Lair is like, well, I say that all the levels in this game are pretty damn short once you know what you're doing. But the Murmur-Lair is one of the ones that really kind of stand out at how short it is. The next level as well, Sand Mountain, is literally tiny. Sand Mountain is such a minuscule level that we will probably be doing the next main boss as well when I get to that recording, because I doubt it'll fit in one video, or I doubt it would be worth fitting in one video. But anyway, let's have a last spatula, get back home, and I'll probably wrap up the recording there and go to Sand Mountain next time. So, next time on SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, we are going to go sliding down the ski lodges essentially. But until then, take care now.